Hey, this is Justin Sinceri. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist who is obsessed with the polyvagal theory. This is a clip from a discussion slash interview that I did with a small nursing support group. They asked me to come in and just talk about polyvagal theory, got to field some questions, and this is a clip from that. If you'd like access to the entire talk, consider becoming a patron. If you become a patron, it's only $5 a month, and with that $5 a month, you get access to an entire podcast that is exclusive just for patrons, besides my Stuck Not Broken regular weekly podcast. That's about it, though. Enjoy this clip. I think part of what you're expressing is that, or what I'm hearing at least, is that these states, the flight fight state, well, first off, we can get stuck there, or the shutdown state as well. So these states, these biological pathways are built within us in order to help us survive through millions of years, however long of evolution. That's what we're left with. And even though we don't exactly need to survive in the ways that we would have way back when, these pathways still exist within us. So even in situations where there's no actual danger, like being at work and having a lot of stuff pile up, there's no danger. Our life's not in threat, but it feels like we experience it as danger. We have concepts of like time and deadlines and whatnot, right? So these pathways still get engaged, even if there's not actual dangers. It's sometimes it's just about our perception of danger. You know what I mean? So for example, I'm a huge 49er fan. I love football. For someone who doesn't like football, they're not going to be as crushed as I am when they lose the Super Bowl twice in a row, and I'm like basically in tears. Someone who doesn't care about football is like, what is this? You know what I mean? But my perception is that my well-being rides on this game. So the perception, it matters. But these things exist within us still. And what happens is that we can get stuck in one of the defensive states. Ideally, like Nadia said, we want to exist in the safe and social state as much as possible. It's not realistic. No one does. I don't. I do not exist in this like super happy, connected, huggy place all the time. That's not me. I haven't met that person. I don't know who that is. That's not realistic, right? So we want to be able to tap into the defensive states, but then go down the ladder and then come back up. We want to be able to stress out at work and get stuff done, but then at the end of the day, be able to like climb back up our ladder into our safety state, connect with our family, have a moment of stillness or meditation or whatever it is you do. That's what we want to have happen, but we can get stuck in these states, and part of that can be the way we're raised. We can actually get stuck just based on the needs of survival. And I think as adults too, if you exist in a state that requires more mobilization, you might have a harder time getting out of it. I presented to police a couple times, and they expressed kind of similar to what Kelsey was saying. They express like always being in this flight fight energy, and for them it's actually a skill. We consider, or in therapy we consider hypervigilance to be quote unquote bad. I don't know about nursing. In nursing, is hypervigilance being on guard or aware or thinking ahead of time, planning, always being mobilized? Is that a good thing, a skill, or how do you consider that? Yeah, so if you have to exist in that state plus deal with coworkers and bosses and the demands of wherever you work and changing policies and procedures, like if you have to exist in that state where you're always kind of on it, on guard or expecting the worst, it's going to be really hard to just snap out of that. These polyvagal states, it's not a light switch. You don't choose to go in and out of them. Your nervous system can get stuck there, and it goes there based on what it's perceiving or detecting as necessary for that moment. And it fluctuates moment to moment. So ideally, we want to have enough safety state, not energy, but we want the strength of our safety pathways to be strong enough to handle all of that, but then to recover and climb back up the ladder. So with the police, for them, hypervigilance is a skill. It's a tool, and asking them to calm that down, for them, they said, like that's like sentencing us to death. Like you're asking us to go out there and not be prepared for the realities of our job. But they get stuck there, and turning it off after hours is quite a challenge. And there's all these not just mental health repercussions, but physical repercussions of that. Really high rates for police, I think it was, higher rates of suicide than general population, depression. And I believe it's similar for nurses as far as depression and overwhelm and whatnot. You're going to find higher rates in these, even teachers. have higher rates of burnout and whatnot. But there's all these consequences for existing in these defensive states. You're not supposed to exist in the flight fight state for hours and hours and hours. It's supposed to be quick. Like there's danger, I run away, and that 30 seconds later, I'm out of that state, back with my family or my herd or whatever it is, and connecting, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. Quick bursts of this mobilization adrenaline energy, not 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, whatever the shift is. It's not supposed to be like that. That's not what we're built, or we didn't evolve to exist in that for that long, So it's extremely taxing on our system. And if we get stuck in these states, that's called trauma. Trauma through the lens of polyvagal theory and just psychophysiology in general is trauma is being stuck in an autonomic nervous system state of defense. Just the safety pathways are not strong enough, or we've lost access to them to climb out of it back up into our ventral vagal state of safety. That's what we consider trauma. Not the event, not what you go through exactly, more of how the event impacts you. Yeah, so the culture of the places we work, that's going to affect, it kind of reinforces. We have to exist in this flight fight state, and then if we don't get the kind of support we need from the communities that we're in, no matter what those are, it kind of just reinforces it. I know for therapists, we have honestly like this nauseating level of support. It's like, I'm fine, leave me alone. If they detect something's up, they'll ask like, well, hey, you okay? What's going on? I'm good. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit much. So I know seems like first line responders, is that the phrase? Is that right? It's not like, there's not this culture of patience and checking in and how you doing, feelings and connecting like that. It's not really a thing, right? Getting stuck in those states, whether we survived a thing and we got stuck in those states, because that could absolutely happen, or it's just this ongoing day after day burnout stress kind of thing. I think we can get stuck in these states, especially if the communities we're a part of are not going to provide something called co-regulation. And co-regulation is what happens between two mammals, where one of them should be or is in their state of safety, social engagement, and the other one is down their ladder, but they're able to accept those cues of safety. So if Nadia and I, connected at some point, and she was like, or before, let's say she and I talked before you guys came on, right? And she was really stressed out, and I was smiling, and I had vocal prosody, and she could see my eye crinkles. These cues would tell her nervous system, like, oh, okay. It would help her climb her polyvagal ladder closer or into the state of safety. That's co-regulation. That's the basic idea, is that one mammal can provide cues of safety, the other one can pick them up and actually help climb their polyvagal ladder. So if you don't have that in the cultures of wherever you work or in your home, in your friendships, if you don't have that, it's easier to get stuck in these states of defense.